The only thing that I learned and I continue to do is, if I look at something, if I look at a person, I know their past, present and future. That is the level of attention I'm paying to them. I don't look at like this. When I look at it completely, with all that I have. If you pay enough attention, there is nothing that will not yield. So I never had any reason or need to go looking for scriptures or something. With all respect and regard for them, it is not that I'm averse to it, it's just that I've not had the time. How this whole process started is, when I was very young, I realized that I just don't know anything. See, if you realize that you do not know, if it's a full-scale realization that you do not know anything, paying attention will be natural. Because you know everything. You know this guy, you know this. There are assumptions and assumptions and assumptions. Well, I have used it in a different way, but even if you're doing business, even if it's for business purposes, the only reason why one human being seems to be… all the opportunities seems to be going in his direction and not other people is simply because he is able to see and other people are not able to see. It's not that it's not there for others. One is able to see and others are not able to see. So essentially, a leader means that you're able to see something that others are not able to see. So, attention without intention, simply being attentive, that's what we were trying to do in the afternoon. Not paying attention to something, just practicing attention, a very heightened level of attention where an unfocused attention, but when you focus it on something, just about anything has to yield, there is no other way to that attention. So, I always focused on enhancing and sharpening my attention, never on retention because what you gather is not you. Essentially, you know that you exist only because you have some sense of attention right now, isn't it? Suppose you fall asleep and you lose your attention, you do not even know that you exist. So the basis of your existence itself is attention. And this attention need not be mortgaged to anything. You just have to sharpen the attention. See, if you have a knife in your hands, there is no such thing that you have to cut only apples with this. If you have a sharp enough knife, you could cut anything that you want. Most of the things apart from the spiritual process that I did, I never went through any training. I simply went and did it like I know it. And it always worked. To say things that people believe you cannot do. You know, there was a time when I was always on 2 wheels. 4 wheels, I looked at it with great disdain. I would never get into a car. Even if somebody asked me to come in their car, I say, no, tell me where, I'll come on my motorcycle. Because getting into a 4-wheeled vehicle was considered, I will do it when I'm on 85. So, it was just beyond me, I could not get into a car. I said, I'm not going to get into a car. So once it happened that we were driving to a wildlife sanctuary and I was on my motorcycle and this girl was driving this car with another 4 people. And none of those 4 people could drive and this girl got very sick and she got terrified because it's a wildlife sanctuary, she cannot drive. Then they don't know what to do. She says, I can't drive, I'm so too tired, I'm not feeling comfortable with all this forest, I cannot drive. And then I said, there was no other way, otherwise we have to wait and turn back. Then I said, okay, and I parked my motorcycle. I said, okay, I'll drive. I had never driven a car till that point. But right from my childhood, whether it's a bus or a car or whatever anybody is driving, I paid attention as to how it happens. I just sat down and drove 90 kilometers on a narrow track, narrow tarmac track from, to Nagarhole, which was a very narrow track at that time. I drove all the way and I parked the car there. Then I said, this is the first time I drove and never drove. And it's not as bad as I thought. I thought driving a car is for cripples. I thought motorcycle is the real thing. Car is for crippled people. It's like for handicapped people who cannot balance on two wheels. I said, it's not so bad. And they said, what, you've never driven? I said, no, this is the first time I drove. How can you drive? Why can't I drive? I've seen people driving. Almost everything I've done is like this. I've never been to any training of any kind. It just takes a little attention. Every human being can do this, but they have a backlog in their head. They're carrying so many things of how it cannot happen.